Ohel is 47 years old, and after 47 years, there are still individuals that say, I'm not quite familiar with what ohel does, because in many ways, ohel does its work quietly. The foster care work that ohel began with its mission 47 years ago, serving individuals, families who have an abused or neglected child, who work through New York City Administration for Children's Services, people with psychiatric illness living in more than our 100 homes and apartments throughout New York City, the issue of stigma and mental illness, the issue of stigma and developmental disabilities, the issue of stigma and people that have crises every day who prefer that it not be spoken about publicly, quietly. So amongst the most important work that ohel has done over the past 47 years is to educate the community, to open up the world of disabilities to individuals, to open up discussions on abuse and neglect and families in distress. And every family, no matter who we are, at some point in their life has an issue. It doesn't have to be a crisis. It's a bump in life that needs someone, that needs a shoulder, that needs to help them out quietly. Bill Mulvo, the secretary to the governor, a most influential position, an individual who grew up in banking and finance and public service. It's really an honor that Bill Mulvo is joining us this morning. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary to the Governor, Bill Mulvo.
Boy, thank you, David. That was a very, very nice introduction. I'm going to have to go back and tell my wife today that, you know, I was getting plaudits for being quiet. They don't think that always happens. But thank you. Thank you for the great work you do as CEO of this wonderful organization. You know, it's great to be here. I'm amazed that so many of you were able to show up on time this morning. I thought that because the center of the political world is not only in New York, but in Brooklyn last night, that maybe everyone was up late watching the debate, and then you wouldn't get here. How many people watched the debate last night, actually? All right. Thanks for getting here on time. It was a good debate. So I see a lot of friends, advocates, stakeholders, policymakers. Jerry Nadler, an old friend, Dick Godfrey, David Weprin, and I used to work together for many years. So it's good to be among friends. Let me also acknowledge your co-presidents, Moish Hellman and Mel Zachter, for the great work that you do. You know, I'm here to bring the regards of the governor, who was very familiar with the work that ohel does. As you know, he was the speaker at one of your dinners just a few years ago. So he knows very well what you do, the good work that you do. And in its most simple form, its most elegant form, its most magnificent form, you could almost boil it down into a few words, and that this organization takes care of the least fortunate, the most vulnerable in our society. And that is a great, great human trait. Actually, it's one of the best human traits, to take care of the less fortunate. And you know, I also think it's very much a New York trait. You know, we are, I believe, a very compassionate and tolerant group, New Yorkers. You couldn't live in this city, you couldn't live in this state amongst the racial, ethnic, religious diversity, physical diversity, emotional diversity, mental health diversity, if you were not compassionate and if you weren't tolerant. It's a particular New York trait. And you know, it's happened in this state literally for decades, if not centuries. You go back in the history of New York State, and there's been a number of very, very strong, famous, influential governors who have carried on that tradition. You think back in New York State, you have Teddy Roosevelt, you have Al Smith, Herbert Lehman, Averell Harriman, Tom Dewey, Nelson Rockefeller, Mario Cuomo. Terrific New Yorkers, terrific governors, and folks who had a national reputation. But maybe amongst all of those great governors, there was one who we even remember more so, and that's FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who literally lifted a country on his back out of poverty, out of the Great Depression, by doing the New Deal. And the New Deal actually started in New York State when he was governor. So he had already done the trial run on what happened to save the country in New York State. And what made him a great president, what made him a great governor, and Eleanor Roosevelt says this about her husband, her late husband, was that he had great compassion and he had great empathy. And he had that because he had his own disability. As we all know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt had polio. And that's what made him a compassionate and very empathetic governor and president. My governor, your governor, my friend Andrew Cuomo, has that same compassion. I work with him every day. And he believes in that, and he believes in an activist government, just like FDR. So we just finished our state budget, literally within the last 2 weeks, as Dick knows and as David knows. And the governor says that was his best budget of the 6 budgets he's had. He says it's been the best budget that the state's had in decades. We did a lot of good things. We balanced it. It was mostly on time, just within a day late. The 6th time in a row that's happened, which hasn't happened in 50 years in New York State. We had a huge middle-class tax cut. We had terrific investments, historic investments into education, and historic investments into infrastructure. So we're literally thinking about the future of New York, rebuilding LaGuardia Airport, which needs it, Penn Station, which needs it, Javits Convention Center, which we're going to expand. The MTA, for those of you who ride the subways, know that it needs it also. But as we're looking towards the future, we're also making sure we take care of the present. So a lot of what we do in the budget is in human services, it's in social services, it's in the work that OHEL does every single day and has been doing it for 47 years, as David said, as well as anybody in the country. You know, not only in New York, but New Jersey, California, Florida, thousands of people that the organization takes care of, our least fortunate, our most vulnerable citizens. As I said, probably the greatest thing we can do as human beings. So I commend the organization. I commend the 1,500 dedicated professionals and volunteers who do this every day, who comfort and support and make the lives of so many people so much better. So, so thank you for the opportunity to say hello this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to see so many friends. And I bring the regards to the governor, who thinks so highly of your organization and the great work that you do. So thank you very much.